Thanks, Pankaj. Thank you very much, Pankaj. Atul, thank you. Congratulations. Absolutely wonderful points as always. आज सुबह जब मैं आ रहा था तो मैंने एक न्यूज़ देखी व्हाट्सएप पे. वो बोलती है कि यूक्रेन की जो चेंबर ऑफ कॉमर्स है उन्होंने डिसाइड किया है कि अब वो रशिया से अगले 3-4 सालों में अपनी कंपोनेंट की परचेजिंग डबल कर देंगे. They just said that. They have decided that now we will buy more from Russia. Does that sound like fake or is it genuine? Yeah, it's probably fake, right? But we in India did exactly that. We decided that when our soldiers were dying at the Galwan Valley, all of us in this room, procurement managers, said that is a different issue. As far as I'm concerned, my KRA is to bring down the price of what I buy, either by genuine methods, by lying to my suppliers, by not understanding the strategic of what we are trying to do. Whatever it takes, we will buy the cheapest. हमको अब PLI भी मिल गई है, सरकार ने 4-5-6% हमको दे दिया है, लेकिन हमारा कोई दायित्व नहीं बनता है कि हम यहां पे सप्लाई चेन को डेवलप करें. उसका रिजल्ट ये रहा है कि हमारा ट्रेड डेफिसिट विद चाइना हैज एक्चुअली गॉन अप. I know I'm sounding like we are at war. It is because we are at war. I heard Ambassador Saran sir the other day at our CII National Council just 4 days ago in Bombay, and he said that. He said this whole deglobalization to some extent, the weaponization of supply chains is absolutely the new weapon that is being used. And I think it is just fortuitous that today on the panel we have Anil Agarwal ji, who is a person who's trained in IPS. बात करने का टाइम खत्म हो गया सर, मेरे हिसाब से डंडा उठाने का टाइम आ गया है. और वो मिशन जो आप बात कर रहे थे अतुल जी, एग्जैक्टली वो है. डंडा मीन्स हमको अपनी कंपनीज में डंडा उठाना पड़ेगा कि हमारा मिशन है हिंदुस्तान को बनाना, यहां की सप्लाई चेन को बनाना. I would rather use the word value chain. China is what it is today because it has the most robust supply chain in the world. Unless we have that as our mission, not that I will buy the cheapest, I will somehow grow at 20%, ये सब छोटी चीजें हैं. 10 साल बाद, 20 साल बाद हमको याद भी नहीं रहेगा हमने किस रेट पे ग्रोथ किया, कितने पैसे बनाए. What we will remember is that does some country or our neighbor have the guts to look at us and take over our territories? Or will they be scared to do that? And there are only 3 or 4 reasons that can stop that from happening. Of course, our defense has to be strong, our intent has to be strategic, we have to have a long-term view, but we as businessmen have to contribute to that today. By building the supply chains where our dependence on countries that are especially not friendly to us goes down. वो किसका क्या रहे है? वो अनिल अग्रवाल साहब का क्या रहे तो नहीं हो सकता है. आपका क्या रहे था यहाँ पे प्रमोट करना, आपने किया, बहुत अच्छा काम किया, and quite frankly very very special applause to you sir and to the whole government on this, because you have understood. My respect for people in the governance has actually gone up, sir, and I must share this very openly and candidly because of people like you, because you come from a background that probably is not manufacturing at some stage. You are trained in IPS and then you come in and try to understand the nitty-gritty of what's going on in industry and then help us. That takes a very special kind of intent. And that is why I really think that you should be applauded. Kumar Vineet साहब ने तो study किया है Asian. Can you hear me clearly? Is that okay? Oh, yeah. Okay. In Asian studies on global security, the new global security is going to come through economics. The World War III, in my opinion, at least my personal opinion, has already started. We don't realize it. We are still sitting in a nice, comfortable room because किसी और के साथ हो रहा है. And आपने भगवत गीता की बात की सर, मेरा definition of कलयुग तो बहुत simple है. मुझे दिल में पता है कि ये गलत है, लेकिन मेरा दिमाग कहता है फिर भी करो because ये अच्छी strategy है. इनसे तेल लेना है, इनसे गैस लेना है, तो हम अपने positions उसके अनुसार लें. I don't want to sound like some politician or bureaucrat. I'm not that wise. But as a very simple businessman, I ask myself every morning, what is my purpose on earth? Of course, it is to make some money, but making money is not my purpose. It is only a means to that purpose. While making that money, I get some money, some capital from my friends and family. I was lucky to have something. My job is to create more jobs. This country needs jobs today. It needs sustainable jobs. But then when I go in from the strategy to a tactical level, when I put my KRAs, when I put my performance appraisals, the language I speak to my people on a daily basis has nothing to do with the strategic intent. कुछ हद तक यही सरकार में भी हो रहा था. I'm fortunate, we are fortunate that it's changed. Because what we could hear, so we have absolutely last 7-8 years we have dealt, and before that I was very, very critical of the government, I can tell you. I have heard a finance secretary tell us कि सब आपसे electronics नहीं बनता तो कुछ और बनाओ. In the previous government. We cannot be competitive with everything, let's focus on software, forget hardware. And I told him, sir, with humble, later on he's also a Gymkhana member like me, so I had the pleasure of having a drink with him one day and opening my heart out. And I told him, sir, आपने बहुत अच्छी advice दी. मैंने तो project report बनवाई है एक dance bar खोलने की, because उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा पैसा बनने वाला है, entertainment भी है. But मुझे चिंता हो रही है देश की. सब लोग अगर डांस बार मेरे जैसे खोल लेंगे तो ये देश में प्रोडक्शन कौन करेगा, जॉब्स कौन क्रिएट करेगा? So I told him, I'm sorry, but you are wrong. There are some things that a country of 130 crore people cannot afford not to do. Electronic hardware is one of them. I said the same thing to Mr. Narayan Murthy when he was the advisor to the Prime Minister at that time, who famously said, hardware, we have missed the bus. Let's focus on software. And I was very critical of him, and I told him, sir, you are making a big mistake. There are some things which this country cannot afford to say कि हमसे नहीं होगा. It's like food. We cannot be dependent on some other country for our rice and wheat or dal, at least. So the whole of the government concept that is working now is fantastic. In fact, anybody we met at secretary, joint secretary, additional secretary level, we are so happy to report, कुछ रही नहीं कि हमसे मांगने के लिए. We will continue to invent and ask for something because there will always be some. For example, PLI, we hope it gets implemented in time. We hope the money starts flowing to companies in time. There will be a lot of such seminars and we'll continue to ask that. We are now seeing that percolation happening to the states. UP electronics policy, fantastic. The notification में कुछ issues हैं, but we will discuss that separately. But what I'm saying, but जब आप लैंड अथॉरिटी के पास जाते हैं, वो लैंडलॉर्ड तो नोएडा में तो वो लैंडलॉर्ड है, जमींदार हैं, वो तो उसको काट के बोलते हैं बताओ कितने पैसे में दोगे. मेरी 2 फैक्ट्रीज है B20 सेक्टर 58 में से, 1 एकड़ का प्लॉट, मतलब 2 आधे एकड़ के प्लॉट है, 50 करोड़ रुपए उसका आज दाम है. 50 करोड़ की फैक्ट्री में आदमी क्या कैपेसिटी बनाएगा? Because my competition is in 4 acres, 5 acres of dormitory, of open supply of electricity. There is a basketball court in the factory in China. There are hostels, dormitory, all the workers come from there. They work 10-12 hours a day, go back and have a peaceful sleep, come back the next day even more productive. हमारे यहाँ बेचारे 8 घंटे उस फैक्ट्री में आते हैं, हमको बस केवल ये तसल्ली है कि 50 crores हमारे, is the price of where I'm sitting in. But unfortunately, those people go and live in a slum after that. कोड़ा में जाके, आप लोग अगर जानते हैं, एक गाँव है, एक स्लम है लिटरली, बिजली नहीं आती, पानी नहीं आता, स्लम में चोक्ड है, वहां से हम लोग 6 सिग्मा के वॉरियर्स को डेवलप कर रहे हैं. So I think it is not a criticism to anybody. Atul very rightly said mission. Mission का मतलब है कि we need to rethink. और ये rethink करने के लिए I think the government has done more than their bit, to be honest. हम लोगों को, businessmen को आज बैठ के ये सोचना है. अतुल जी ने बिल्कुल सही कहा, हमारा धर्म है as businessmen to be profit, P. But उस प्रॉफिट के पीछे मेरे हिसाब से 3 P हैं. Number 1, purpose. उस प्रॉफिट का पर्पस क्या है? How do we make it sustainable? And I'm not giving you some gyan or some lofty idea. If we want to be sustainable, if you want your next generation also to make money, there is no way but to develop a supply chain. केवल EMS करके 10-20 जगहों से, कंपनीज से कंपोनेंट्स लाकर उसको एक PCB के ऊपर चिपकाना, सोल्डरिंग करना, I'm sorry to make it sound as simple as that, but it is. उसके बेसिस पे हम अपने आप को ग्लोबल लीडर नहीं कह सकते. मोदी जी कह सकते हैं कि बहुत अच्छी बात हुई कि हम सेकंड लार्जेस्ट हो गए सेल फोन असेंबली में, बट वी शुड ऑल रिमेंबर व्हाट गॉट अस टू असेंबली विल नॉट गेट अस टू मैन्युफैक्चरिंग. एंड इफ यू डोंट गेट टू मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, असेंबली इज समथिंग व्हिच हैज अ फ्लाइट ऑफ कैपिटल. ये जितनी ईएमएस की बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज यहां पे आ रही हैं, ये कहीं और थी, ये आज पैदा नहीं हुई हैं. आज आपका लेबर आर्बिट्राज दिख रहा है, PLI दिख रहा है, कुछ फायदा दिख रहा है, वो आ रहे हैं, अच्छी बात है. मोस्ट वेलकम, बिकॉज दैट इज द स्टार्टिंग. It's the green shoot that we were all looking for. But it is not all that we want as Indians. Now I'm not talking to you as businessmen. So in your companies, announce that purpose to your people. Even to your purchase guys. Saying, look, our profit is definitely there. Make no mistake. We have to survive first. Nothing else will work. All this philosophy will come later. But while making that profit, our purpose is that can we do it this year with 5% more local buying? As Atul said at the end. Can that be also a part of the KRA? It used to be, sir. So when Maruti आई, उनके sub purchase managers, vendor development was the biggest department in those companies. The smartest engineers in every company used to be in the vendor development. What was their purpose? Not to go and purchase. Their development was to develop a vendor. भाई आप ये लीड वायर बना रहे हैं, इसकी सोल्डरिंग ठीक नहीं है, मैं आपको सिखाता हूँ सोल्डरिंग कैसे करते हैं. I will do a class, I will connect you to some technology company, I will tell you test equipment, आपके पास test equipment है, मेरे पास है, ये मैं करके दूंगा आपको. That is how the whole auto industry in this country came up. आज imagine that we would have all this and we would be importing all the auto components from the world. Do you think we would have had an auto industry to talk about? So today they have become sustainable. Today we are the world's largest exporter of small cars and two-wheelers. And hopefully the transition to EV will make us even stronger, because they work with their supply chains. I am sorry to say that in the electronics industry, we don't work like that. We work like kitchens. ये आलू प्याज कहीं से भी आ सकता है, मुझको आता है इसको कैसे बनाना है. आप जरूर अच्छी बात है, अगर आपके पास डिजाइन है तो आप कर सकते हैं. But if the same thing, for 30 years my company has been making capacitors. Every year we make a better capacitor. Every month we have implemented 38,000 suggestions so far from our employees. 38,000 new small ways, kaizans, of how to make a better capacitor. How many of you are having dialogue with me and saying, Vinod, can you give me a capacitor which is better than what I buy from China? The dialogue is only happening with my marketing people saying, अरे sorry यार, उसका अच्छा आपका 60 पैसे ठीक था, but कल चाइना वाला आया उसने 54 पैसे में दे दिया. जब डॉलर बढ़ेगा तो आप मेरा फोन ही उठाना बंद कर देते हो. जब डॉलर गिरेगा तो बोला, Vinod, where is the new price list here? The dollar has fallen. I know it sounds harsh. I'm sorry, it may not be the forum to do this, but we've done enough of these nice dialogues. If you want change, you have to hit hard. You have to think hard. You have to forget the mind for some time and work with your heart. That's how Japan developed and delivered 3 times, 4 times GDP growth to their employees, to their citizens. That's what a small country like Korea did later. That's what hopefully, and China did to some extent, and hopefully India will do. As a student of history in school, I always ask my teachers one question. How did that small island called England, लोग जहाज में, उस समय तो पानी के जहाज से आते थे, वो हमारे आए हमको कुछ सामान बेचने के लिए. It's like I come to your factory to sell capacitors, और 2 साल बाद I am the king. आप मेरे पैर दबा रहे हैं और मैं आपको whip कर रहा हूं. How can that happen? It can only happen because of our short-term thinking in this country, where we all think we are very, very smart professionals, because we will cheat each other. And I use that word specifically because I have instances to talk about it. And my challenge to all of you in the purchase thing is simple. Do a total cost of ownership, the landed cost of your components. Have the guts to transparently discuss it with the other Indian vendors in India, and give them a challenge that, Vinod, either you will get there in 6 months or get out, never come to me again. We will take that challenge. But we have to have that passion to do it. We are willing to do it at a loss, but show us the way. आप चाइना वाले को हर 60 days में, 90 days में बैंग ऑन पैसा जाएगा, इंडियन कंपनी को नहीं जाएगा. जब भी आपकी कैश साइकिल में प्रॉब्लम आएगी तो हिंदुस्तानी कंपनी को हम दबा देंगे. तो कहां से बनेगा ये देश? सेमिनार करने से नहीं बनेगा देश. I'm sorry, I've sounded harsher than I should have, but I hope that it will lead to some action. That next year when we meet like this, we will have a completely different tone. That mission is not ELCINA's mission. It is not Mr. Anil Agarwal's mission. It's not the government of India's mission or UP's mission. It is your and my mission, because this is your and my industry. We have grown here, we have earned our bread from here, and we must give it back to this industry so that the next generation can have a much better time than we did. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.